Hello and greetings to all. The purpose of this video is to begin to explore Anahuaca, Indigenous, Mesoamerican, Mexica cosmology. Now, it is very trivial anytime that we intend to delve into the spirituality or cosmology of our brown indigenous ancestors, since we don't have a Bible, so to speak, like Judeo-Christian adherents do. They have a document which is actually comprised of a series of books that are said to have withstood the test of time, where it's been said that they've been modified and translated, but we're not going to go into those kind of details. We don't have a concrete document. A lot of the libraries, codices were destroyed. A lot of them were taken to Europe as some sort of novelty, souvenirs of conquest, so to speak. And a lot of the documents that do abound are open to all types of interpretations. They are said to have been heavily Christianized. Even some of the writings of, say, Fernando de Alva Ixtlilxochitl, he was a Christian Catholic, so a lot of it is pretty much adapted to the Christian worldview, to where it distorts a lot of the original content. So a lot that we have to go rely upon to piece together some sort of whole picture of what the cosmology and spirituality might have been has been very Christianized, very distorted. Now, currently, and ever since I've been immersed in decolonization and indigenous activism and advocacy, there have been the groups that I refer to as indigenous witch hunters, people who condemn all sorts of spirituality as a new ager and ineffective. Now, for the most part, a lot of it is ineffective, especially our approach. The thing is that whenever we break away from religion, organized religion, we tend to still have that mental, that frame of mind of wanting to continue to worship somebody or something. Now, when I began to explore spirituality, I started learning about these gods and goddesses, so to speak, of the Mexica pantheon specifically, and I was in awe. So coming from a mentality of Christianity, of wanting to worship somebody, wanting to have somebody as my God, I began to pattern my thinking after that same mental slavery of adoration and senseless worship. But that's not what our ancestors intended to convey through these deities, gods, whatever you want to call them, because in reality they were energies, a way to personify. As human beings, oftentimes we lend a little more respect to a concept if we can humanify it, if we can personalize it. If we see rain as a being that's alive, which in reality it is. Water is alive. The forces of nature are alive. But if we're able to see it as a person, as somebody who reflects our humanity, our senses, our emotions, then we tend to respect it a little more. So we are not to worship these beings, but in reality we are to delve deeper into what they represent and what they meant to the ancients and what they can mean to us now, which is, anybody who's been following this channel, all 3 or 4 of y'all can see that I am constantly mentioning Huitzilopochtli, who is my favorite deity of these pantheon, and of course not a deity in the tradition of the Western world, of a god, but in reality of a force. Huitzilopochtli in this case being willpower. I've spoken about him a lot, so just look into those videos for a better understanding. So we're going to begin to explore a lot of the spirituality and cosmology. There's some authors and there's some sources that I consider reliable, which a lot of other people frown upon. For example, I love Castañeda's writings. A lot of people have demonized him for being New Ager, for being a rapist even. I take what I can from what he was able to convey to us, and I discard whatever is extraneous to my objective, which is to decolonize. I've read a lot of Castañeda's. I take it with a grain of salt. I don't, focus and dwell too much where I'm a follower now. I also follow Isidro Macias, who is the one that I want to be speaking of and about the most. And after this introductory video, I'm going to share some of what I've learned through Mr. Macias' writings Because even though a lot of people might also criticize him, and concheros, and a lot of people who want to dance, who their approach, there's a lot of approaches to decolonization. Some people want to go to law school and, what I'm saying, fight for, pro-immigrant causes. A lot of people want to, be movers. They want to be at the front lines of this war against white supremacy and pro of indigenous activism. Some people are artists. Some people empower the people through their art. As yours truly, I'm a writer, I'm a singer, a poet, whatnot, and I seek to empower the people through art. And I do intend on being more vocal, but I need to contribute my talent, which is writing, singing, and expressing artfully. So you don't have to be constantly with banners at protests and whatnot to consider yourself part of this war. There's a lot of approaches. So we're going to explore some of these sources. That way we can all begin to read about this material, to fortify and enrich our knowledge of what our ancestors considered their worldview and spirituality. Now, I have said many times that I don't speak about spirituality as a very abstract concept of when I die, my spirit's going to go to heaven or hell. No, spirituality is what drives you. That fuel to that fire that drives you to doing what you do and how you do it. So I will continue the discussion further. Please follow along.